How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Nick Krem Live. And as you guys know, Nick Krem Live is powered by ContentCards.com. That's Content Cards with the Z.com. And with me today is Mr. Brian Moses. How's it going, Brian?
It's going awesome, buddy. Great to see you, Nick.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. So just a little bit about Brian here. He was named one of the top 100 most influential real estate agents in all of North America. So at one point sold more than 400 homes a year, producing sales volumes up to 100 million in volume, making over 3.5 million in commission. And over the last 20 years, Brian's been traveling the country, teaching realtors exactly what he did to achieve such astonishing results. So those are kind of the numbers behind Brian. But Brian, I'm sure you can tell us a little bit more about yourself here.
Well, I'm much more than a sales guy. I'm a husband, a father. I'm a golfer. I like to play golf. I like to travel. You know, I work hard. I play hard. But yeah, I struggled early on in my career, Nick, as you know the story. Mm-hmm. Got frustrated. Fortunately, I didn't give up, and I just kept persisting until I found the code that opened the door, and then mastered that process. You know, attracting leads, getting buyers and sellers to call me, then creating a mastery for conversion, how to get people to want to get in their car, drive across town, meet you face to face, and then buyer and seller presentations.
Right. So, I got to say, before we go any further here, you know, I've been watching your sales videos from when I was just getting into a call center and watching your sales videos. So it's really cool having you on here. You know, been watching all the videos. Now I get to meet the man. So it's definitely pretty cool. But let's say for the people out there that don't know you yet, so what would you say makes you different than a lot of the other coaches and a lot of the other programs that they can get out there?
You know, great question. I think probably for me, it's combining the elements of skill with psychology. So there's no shortage of tactics out there. I'd like to think that mine are superior. But there's some good stuff out there, right? There, you know, you need scripts. You need to be able to handle objections. I actually have sold a lot of real estate. I've trained thousands of real estate agents, built a very successful team. So my stuff is tested and proven. It's not theory. But even if you have the right skills, you need the right psychology, right? The market's changing. Interest rates are going up. There's no shortage of competitors. There's no shortage of obstacles. And I've had the great fortune, Nick, of working with Tony Robbins and for Tony Robbins. So that was an amazing journey. And I learned more in those 3 or 4 years than I have in my entire adult life. So I would say, to answer your question, my psychology, I see the glass as half full, not as half empty. A lot of people see it as half empty. Now, the fact that it is half empty also means it's half full. Let's focus on the half that's full that we can drink and consume, not worry about the half that's gone. Yeah,
no, that's a really good point, especially working with Tony Robbins. I know I've gotten a lot out of his videos, and it does really start between the ears. So there is a concept, because I follow your videos now too. There's a concept that I've seen you talking about recently, and even going back a little bit farther. It's on how you're focusing about the how with your clients and not exactly the what. So like how to get things done and not what the problem is. So can you explain a little bit about like what that means and how you use that in your coaching?
Well, I'm not sure what you were referencing. It's actually the opposite.
Oh, okay.
I don't worry about the how.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The how, we'll figure that shit out. Right? Like we were just talking about the Kentucky Derby. I mean, I'm a crazy guy. I believe that anything's possible within certain limitations, right? I've been challenged by idiots out there that go, so you're telling me that you can jump off the Empire State Building and live? No, that's not
right.
Not possible, jackass. But truth be told, I do believe we can make great income. I do believe that we can have it all. I do believe that we can have great relationships. I've witnessed other people doing it. Success leaves clues. I do believe in miracles. I don't believe in the word can't, right? You know, I do believe that just about anything is possible. So I make decisions about what it is that I want in my life, and then I figure out the how later. And it comes with lots of feedback and failures along the way. You know, for those of you tuning in or watching, Go to YouTube and look up Brian Moses on David Letterman. People go, how the hell did you get on David Letterman?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how. I felt that I was going to do it, right?
Yeah.
So really, really important. You know, I believe that we can always leave things better than we found them. I believe, you know, I've really conditioned myself, Nick, to have an empowering mindset that serves me and that fuels me forward. That doesn't mean that I don't have obstacles, frustrations, and challenges. It just means that I take that feedback. I know that that didn't work, and I don't give up, right? You know, you were asking me before we started about my boys. I've got a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old. And the 12-year-old we adopted from China, and the 16-year-old is a miracle. We were told we can't have kids. Oh, wow. And I'm like, I don't believe that shit. Like, we want kids, and I'm having fucking kids. Seriously. Yeah. Like, who are you to tell me? So we get a fertility specialist. We get obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, 3 miscarriages. We're about to give up. We're about to quit on our dreams. Yeah. And fortunately, my wife said, you know, let's try one more time. And long story short, sometimes you just need to try one more time. And, you know, we've got two amazing kids. So it's the what. What is it that you want in life? What is it you want your business to look like? Don't worry about how you're going to do it. Draw it out on a map. Yeah. Blueprint.
Oh, man, that's a great story. Of course, that's the first time I'm hearing of it. And congratulations, by the way, being able to have your kid. And like you said, one more time. So the way I think about it, I would always say one more lap when I was racing my four-wheelers. I always remember that one more lap usually got me into trouble. But sometimes if it's one more time and you're trying to do something good, you can get some good results. But so no, that's definitely a great story with that. So can you give us an example of focusing on the what and like in your real estate business? Can you think of a time where you've coached somebody through that and it got them to that next level?
Well, let me tell you, the first thing that came to mind is I was not so much struggling agent in New Hampshire anymore. I was doing about 100 deals a year. Yeah. And I was pursuing the top spot in my state, which is a little postage stamp state. And I remember being in an event and the trainer said, you know, I want to partner people up. Person A, meet person B, introduce yourself. And sure, they were talking about setting wild, crazy, big, hairy, audacious goals. Right. So I went through the exercise and I had to share it with my partner and I go, I'm going to be the #1 agent in the world. And he goes, what? Yeah, I'm going to be the #1 agent in the world for Coldwell Banker. And the guy's like, are you smoking crack? You're good. You know, you're one of the top agents in the state, but you're not even on the map in the Northeast. You're not even on the country, the world. And I'm like, screw you, pal. Like, that's another thing. We want to rid ourselves of people that are toxic. You know, people that don't support you, that don't blow on your fire. Spend time with people that blow on your fire, that tell you you can. So anyway, long story short, I made that decision. I had no freaking idea how I was going to do. Right. I then started to figure out, okay, in order to be in that stratosphere, I got to do about 400 deals a year, 4 times more than I was currently doing. Yeah. So I started strategizing, you know, and we gained on it every year, 200 deals, then 300 deals. Yeah. 3 years later, we went from 100 deals to 400 deals, and I was top 10 in the world. So I'm like, shit, pretty good for New Hampshire. Yeah. Kept plugging. And here's what's important to take away from this lesson. Twice I was #2 in the world. I never made #1, Nick. But #2 doesn't suck. Yeah. And I would have never been #2 had I not thought about what it took to be #1. So you dream big, shoot for the stars. If you land on the moon, a lot of people haven't seen the moon. Yeah. Place to be.
No, that's pretty cool, because I know a lot of times when I look back on my goals, I can pinpoint it to a specific time when I told myself I'm going to get this done. So it's really cool. You can pinpoint it back to that event that you went to that you said, I'm going to be #1. You started shooting from it from there.
Right.
So something that we see all the time, and we're kind of seeing it in the sports world right now too. If we think about it, like Magic Johnson was a great player, when it came to managing and coaching and transferring it, he's not really able to do it. Michael Jordan, I don't know what you're thinking he's doing with the Hornets. I believe he's with the Hornets, Bobcats right now, but they're not doing too good. So we have these great players who had all this skill and all the talent in the world, but they can't seem to transfer it into the coaching into other people. So how have you been able, like what are some of the tools or processes that allow you to be able to transfer it from playing, or I guess you could say from selling as much as you did, to helping other people get to that next level?
Yeah, awesome. So I've systemized everything. I've become obsessed with systems and processes.
Yeah.
You know, probably some of the people watching out there have teams, and maybe they have 2 or 3 buyer's agents. I had numerous buyer's agents, right? But I could take it to the bank that Susie would make the same offer to an internet lead that John would make. They followed my process. We did training every week. We had a playbook. We had a manual. Buyer says this, you say this.
Mm-hmm.
Seller says this, you say this. And if it didn't work, we'd go back to the drawing board and change what we'd say. And I still do that today, Nick. You know, when I coach people, I had a call an hour ago.
Yeah.
And the person I was coaching, one of the probably #1 agent in Oklahoma, did about 500 deals last year with her team. She said to me, she goes, you know, when I talk to buyers, I use everything you say, but I do add this, Brian. She goes, I tell them I'm their personal concierge. And if you see anything else that's for sale that you'd like more information on, you call your personal concierge. You don't have to call other salespeople. And I go, man, that was good. I'm stealing that.
Yeah.
Right? That's really good. So I'm always trying to make things a little bit better. You know, the world has changed in the last 20 years, last 5 years.
Yeah, it has.
Pretty rapidly. So I would say I'm obsessed with systems and processes. And what's great about it is skills can be learned. Someone can study my script. Someone can study my process, go out into their market anywhere in North America and get the same results, because buyers and sellers want the same thing.
So would you accredit the being able to do it from the top of the ladder, head broker, all the way down to the solo agent, the success and everything in between to your processes? And that's how you're able to just plug and play with everybody?
Yeah, best practices. And nothing's perfect, right? But if I talk to a buyer, I'm going to get an appointment much more than I'm not going to get an appointment. And I'm going to articulate a compelling offer so that somebody who's thinking about buying a home wants to get in the car and meet me. And it's not about me, Brian.
Yes.
It's about what they're getting when they meet Brian, and that's duplicatable.
Yeah, so I think that's a great point that you make there. Some people out from the outside in can say, oh, they're just going with you because you're Brian Moses, or you're the #2 person in the world at one point. At one point, you weren't those things. It was the system, the processes that got you to that point.
And let me tell you, ego is a very dangerous island, right? It's a very dangerous place. When I was the #2, I felt proud. I was like, hey, man, like, why would you want to work? Why would you want to work with someone else who sold 4 homes last year when I've got systems and processes? Hey, Mr. Seller, I was the #2 agent in the world. They didn't give a shit. They didn't. So so here's the good news. You don't need to be #1 in your office. You don't need to be #1 in the world. You don't even need to be good to sell real estate. We have brand new agents, Nick, that we coach and train. 0 experience selling 3, 4, 5 homes their first month in the business. And they've got no track record. Yeah.
Man, so that just comes down to repetition. You had the systems, you're giving them all the tools. All they need to do is learn it, embody it, be able to present it to their customer at the end.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
So, so at one point, like you were saying earlier, you were recruited as a senior executive business strategist consultant for Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. So first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about what that title was and what you did for them?
Man, so to not sound like I'm blowing sunshine up my ass, it was an opportunity of a lifetime. Tony Robbins has multiple businesses. He has a consulting or had a consulting business at the time with a guy named Chet Holmes, who is a brilliant strategist. Chet wrote the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, New York Times bestseller, the best business strategy book on the planet, bar none. If you haven't read it, everybody needs to read it. So I read that book. I heard through my network of Tony Robbins groups that, hey, they've got this company, they do business consulting. They work with 400 different verticals, Fortune 500 companies. It pays really good. And they're looking for some people to consult and help them grow their sales revenues and profits. It's kind of a funny story. When I applied for the job, I mean, I really had to show them that I was persistent. They wouldn't return my phone calls. They wouldn't return my emails. They were testing me every step of the way to see how many FUs I would take before I'd give up. I finally got an interview. I was instructed to read the book, so I read it twice. You know, I'm a super achiever. Read the book. I'll read it twice. And there's a chapter 4, that talks about hiring superstar talent. And I read the book, I read the chapter, and I'm interviewing with Chet Holmes, the man. And, you know, he goes, did you read the book? Yes, sir. Read it twice. He goes, great. You got any questions? No. All right. Well, we're going to jump into this case study. I'm a muffler company. I sell mufflers. And your job is to ask me enough questions so that you can give me a breakthrough in 10 minutes. So I did it. And he goes, dude, you know, that wasn't great. You're good. I see some talent there. But, you know, we'll keep your resume on file. And I'm like, you know, with all due respect, sir, I really haven't had any training. You said it was good. Can you imagine the training? With training, how great it would be? He goes, fair enough. You want some training? I go, I would love some. He spent 10 minutes, told me how he would do the call. And Nick, I was like, are you kidding?
Blew your mind.
Are you kidding me? So he goes, there's your training. You want to do another one? Let me pick another company. We sell this. We sell widgets.
Right.
So I do it. He goes, yeah, you're not good. And I go, you got to be kidding me, dude. I nailed it. I said everything you told me to say. Like I took. He goes, I'm kidding. You're hired. Now, here's the lesson. In that chapter, it talks about if you're hiring superstars and anybody that wants to build a team, there's superstar and then there's not superstar. Well, superstars don't quit. They don't take no for an answer. They fight all the way to the end, right? They'll just keep persisting. And that was the characteristic that Chet's looking for. And I had the opportunity from that moment to be trained by Chet, Tony, sitting in a staff meeting. Tony Robbins walks in the room. I'm like, you know,
that's Tony Robbins.
And we worked with, you know, dozens and dozens of large and Fortune 500 companies all over the world. I've been to England, Europe, here in the States, and I learned a lot. And now I applied much of what I learned into the real estate business that I had mastered. And then we coach teams now that are doing 700-800 deals a year.
Man, so that just reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. One of the ones that I've recently came upon too is if you don't quit, you can't lose. As long as you're not quitting, there's no way that you can lose because you're going to keep going at it and at it and at it until eventually you get the result that you were looking for. So here's a question that's coming on with it too was, I need to ask, how many times do you think you called before you were able to get that interview? If you had to make a guess.
Multiple dozens of times. Like months and months and months. And I had a good coaching business, right? But I saw an opportunity for me to maybe take a step back financially, step out of my comfort zone. I know real estate really well, and go into an arena that I knew nothing about. And I learned a ton. It was pretty awesome, pretty exciting.
No, that's great. So, and I know something that I've been hearing a lot of too is the market disruptors and a lot of change in other industries come from outside of the industry, right? So through your tenure there with doing the, like working with the businesses, doing the consulting, what are some things that you're able to bring from outside of the industry and apply it to real estate?
So great question, Nick. One of the biggest is, I'd always focus on how many more homes I needed to sell every year to hit my goal, which we did and we hit. But one thing I looked at with Chet is he always said, what if instead of selling more and working harder and having more expense, and what if we increased our price point per sale? So in every business, I look at what do you sell? So I worked with a company that sold coffins, right, to funeral homes. And I go, where do you get paid and how much do you get paid? So they get paid $800 was their average coffin price when they sell a coffin to a funeral home. I said, well, what if we could increase that revenue per transaction from $800 to $1,300? You wouldn't have to sell as many coffins to hit your goal, less work, less employees, all bottom line profit. So in real estate, I applied that. The first thing that I do with somebody is I go, hey, what's your average sales price? They go, it's $300,000. What's your market average sales price? They go, it's 300, it's 275, it's 350. So you're either performing at your market, below your market, or above your market. My question is, regardless whether you're below, which is a great opportunity, right? You should be at least producing the market, right? So if your market average is 300 and your average price is 275, the market's doing better than you. Right? So let's at least get it up to 300, or let's get it up to 350 or 400. And then I have strategies that's called targeting, right? Your ideal client profile. So everybody watching this knows where there's a neighborhood where the prices are about $50,000 to $100,000 more than their average. Here's the first thing I do with them. Let's get some bait in that market, right? Let's get some marketing is like fishing. If we were going to go fishing, do we want mackerel or do we want tuna? I never did this before working with Chet. My average sales price was $200,000, and it ended at $200,000. Had I had to do it over again, I would have targeted $300,000 and $400,000 areas because those people didn't know who Brian Moses was. They weren't seeing my bait. So that's one of the many things that I learned. So, if you could take and go from 300 to 400, that's a 33% increase in sales price, right?
Yeah.
Translates to 33% increase in commissions.
Yeah.
You can sell a third fewer homes and make the same money.
Man, so that's an interesting way about doing it, because that's something that I would incorporate, because I was running a call center for about 3 years, a little bit more than that. And anytime we would do our targeting, that's what I would always say. I must have watched one of your videos and got it from that. But that's what we would say is if you're going to shoot in the dark with marketing, you pick your audience. It's like shooting in a barrel. Why not shoot for the big fish? We're not going to shoot for the little fish. You're going to spend the same amount of time, effort, and energy doing your marketing as you would in some of these other areas. Let's do this.
We got some people watching. I'm going to ask a rhetorical question so that we don't get, go down a rabbit hole. But when I talk to somebody who's interested in coaching, or my coaches talk to somebody, we go, in the last 3 years, what's the lowest sales price you have? I had one the other day, $70,000. I go, okay, great. What's the highest sales price you had? $1.9 million. I go, wow, that's a big range. Which did you like better? I like the 1.9 million. And here's the thing. In some of my promo videos, I talk about the fact that I say no a lot. I don't want to fish for mackerel. We can discriminate by price point. I'm not discriminating against people. It's like a surgeon who specializes in foot surgery. They don't, if you need shoulder surgery, they go work with someone else. If you're in the market and you're looking for a $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 home, and I have the skills to generate as much business as I want for $400,000 and $500,000, I'm going to say I don't specialize in that market. That's a first-time market. That's a condo market. you should work with somebody who specializes there, because there's only so many hours in the day and time is money. So I'd rather spend a little bit more time to find a $300,000 or $400,000 client. And by the way, not only am I making more money per deal, but the quality of the transaction is better. They make more money in the bank. They've got a better job. They've got better credit scores. The transactions are smoother. And the best part of this whole thing is, guess who $400,000 and $500,000 people hang around?
Other $400,000 and $500,000 people.
You're catching on, right? So
I'm catching on, yeah.
When I work with a $50,000 or $80,000 client, who do they hang around? Other 50.
Yeah, right around that price point.
So when they send me a referral, I'm actually going, Jesus, really?
Yeah.
I appreciate the referral, but I don't really want your referral. Yeah. So being strategic on the front end is something that Chet and Tony, really instilled on me. And we just, we loved it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've been taking it as far as to think about the referrals that you get from doing business at certain price points. You're going to tend to work with other people around that same price point and around the same mindset too. So that's a great point about thinking further, like you said, strategically. Where do you want your referrals coming from? So right. yeah, that's a great point about it as well. So I was going through your bio a little bit, and in your bio it said after 5 years you were going through a struggle. You came across an infomercial featuring Tony Robbins, and it was Unleash the Power cassette program. You invested in the program, and then after that, it seemed like something clicked because you said you were rising each year. So I'm curious, what clicked for you? Can you pinpoint it back to like one thing, like the switch flipped, and it kind of got you into that next mindset or whatever it be?
Yeah, there were a few things. So one is I was starting to doubt myself, and I had a call the other day, and I was just looking over my shoulder because I thought the cassettes were there and I was going to show you. Like, these are old school, ancient, antique cassettes. But true story, I think they're down in my basement. But he got me to believe in myself, and that my current reality was not my reality. Sometimes we think our current reality is our destiny. It's what we're stuck with. So that mindset, that shift allowed me to believe that my feelings are not my facts. So my feelings are, I'm broke, I'm discouraged, I'm disappointed. Those are not the facts. The facts are there's transactions being sold. You all good? Yeah,
that was my dog. He started barking. I wasn't ready for that, but yeah, keep going.
That's all good. So my feelings are not my facts. The facts are that there's business out there, that there's skills that I haven't yet learned, that there's marketing strategies that I haven't even begun to try. The story in my head was I've tried everything. And in this cassette, I can hear Tony telling me, you haven't freaking tried everything. I'm like,
I can hear his voice too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You haven't tried everything. There's something else. And I just kept finding until I got the recipe. So that was number one. Number two, I set big goals. Because, if you have a compelling future, if you have a purpose driving you, I didn't want to live in an apartment for the rest of my life. I didn't want to be single for the rest of my life. I didn't want to not have children. I didn't want to drive a 20-year-old Ford station wagon with 200,000 miles on it for the rest of my life. There are people driving nice cars, living in beautiful homes. I want those things too. So I had goals. And I think that sometimes we lose sight of our goals, and we go, well, I don't have an education. I don't have a coach. I don't have the training. And we have all the reasons and excuses, if you will, why we can't succeed. So I set goals. So one was I worked on my psychology. I realized that I didn't know everything. Second was goals. Third, I built a schedule. Real estate's a messed up business, right?
Yeah.
If we were to talk, like, this would be a fun exercise, and I may do this, in the future, because I like to show people what the problem is, because when they see the problem, they go, oh, shit, I'm not going to duplicate that. But imagine I walk into a random real estate office. I ask to see a real estate agent. I pull my phone out and I'm videotaping it. And I go, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. And the agent goes, oh, Brian.
Yeah.
And I go, but before I talk with you, I'd like to see your schedule.
Oh, wow.
Like, what are your hours? What days of the week do you work? No, I'd ask that agent.
Right.
Most agents don't have a freaking schedule.
Yeah.
Right? They feel like going to work. So the next thing I did is I recognized all of the impact areas of the business that never happen, and I put them in my schedule, and I developed the discipline to follow my schedule. So, for example, working on my business in my schedule, Tuesday, 3 to 5. Lead generation, Thursday, 8 to 11. I'm 3 hours of working on marketing. Prospecting, follow-up, calling my leads. I've got time in there in my calendar where I work those activities. Showing property, listing property. There's no need for me to if somebody called an average agent up and said, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. I heard you're an agent. Come list it. Can you come tonight? Or can you come tomorrow? Most agents would be like, okay. And that's reactive. Yeah. So I had 2 or 3 days a week where I would do listing presentations and 2 or 3 days a week where I would do buyer presentations. And then I get into a rhythm. It's like, my kid at football practice, they have systems, they have processes. If you watch, they go through warm-ups from 3 to 3:15, warm-ups. If they go, hey, coach, I want to throw the ball. We're going to do warm-ups first. Well, I want to throw the ball. We're going to throw the ball at 4 o'clock, right? We create a schedule, if that makes sense. So one of the first things that I do with people is I identify what are the things we need to do to reach your goals. And, sadly, Nick, real estate has, stolen relationships from people. Do you know what I mean by that?
I think I can pick up on it. If you want me to elaborate, I will a little bit.
Yeah, give it a shot.
So what I'm thinking about that is a lot of times let's say me, for example, I have a realtor that's in the family. I have other realtors that I know personally. And that stolen relationship is this other realtor who might even be better for the job starts to get more connected with me, and it steals that relationship that I have with other people.
Yep, that's definitely true. So that's not inaccurate. But what I'm talking about is like I have friends and family that are in this business, right? And I'll be out at a convention and I run into you and I haven't seen you in ages and we're sitting down having a great dinner. Like, notice you and we're not on our freaking cell phones right now, are we?
Right. No, not at all.
We're in the moment. But realtors aren't. Realtors aren't in the moment, right? They're with their kid and they go, hold on, I got a lead. Got to get back to this lead. It's disgusting. There's no need for it. We can control you can have it all. And if we can generate enough business so that we can create the rules, that really was my ultimate goal and what I was successfully able to do. If somebody buys from someone else, I don't care.
Wow.
I can get by on 400 deals a year, right? I'll live.
Yeah.
So, somebody may go, well, I can't afford to lose one. Well, in the early stages, let's develop your skills so that, you're not losing you think that being available is the formula for selling more houses. It's not. It's being skilled. In fact, let me share, I don't know who's watching, but I'm out there, right? Like I told you, I'm crazy at the beginning. But I want people to understand that if I did what the average agent does, I would get what the average agent gets. And in North America, what's that? 4 or 5 deals a year?
I think it's right around there, yeah.
Now, if I was above average and I did what the above average agent did, who sells 30, 40, 50 houses, still respectable. If I did what they did, I would get what they got, 40, 50 deals a year. So to sell 100 homes on my own by myself and to build a team that sells 300-400 homes a year in the 90s when it wasn't common to have teams or to produce at that volume, what I'm doing is very different than what everybody else is doing, right? So you need to have an open mind. Now, you want to have fun with this? we can create a marketing message, and I'll share it with people, and they're going to go, in their mind's going to go, well, that would not work in my market. It'll work in every market.
Yeah.
Here's a great one.
All right.
We sell your home without listing it for sale. Call Brian. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I probably would list that home, but the seller, by the way, how many of you out there want to talk to more sellers? I know I do.
That's about everybody.
We create an irresistible message. Sell your Nashua, New Hampshire home without ever putting it on the market. Call Brian. How many calls do you think I'd get from curious home sellers who want to know how that works?
Probably a lot. Probably a lot, because they're skipping the whole part of the process that brings them the pain, or at least in their mind it is.
And it beats the shit out of door knocking, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So I get dozens of people to call me, and then I have a process to convert that. Now, I'll tell you, I study other businesses. I went to Home Depot, and I don't know how we doing on time. I want to be respectful.
I have enough time until 5:30, so I don't know what you have in your schedule. So I got plenty of time here, Brian. I'll never cut you off.
So, listen, I want to add value to you, and you can wind me up. I could go for days, but have you ever responded on a marketing message? Maybe you're in the market to buy a car,
right?
You see prices starting at X, and you're like, holy shit, that looks like a good deal. You call. Yeah. Marketing did its job. Now it's up to the salesperson to get you in the showroom. Mm-hmm. So the reality is it possible for me to sell someone's house without listing it? It's possible.
That's possible, yeah.
If
you're not telling a lie, essentially. You're not lying to them. It's possible, but it might not be the right fit for them.
And it's not probable, but why I'm not putting that in the ad. Mm-hmm. So when they call, how does it work? Hey, we're working with buyers who are looking in Nashua, New Hampshire. They've looked at everything in the MLS, have yet to find a house. Maybe your home's a fit. Can I come take a look at it? I go take a look at their house. I'm not going to lie to them and tell them I have a buyer. I'm going to go, you know what? Your house is beautiful. These people can afford a little bit more. I think they're looking for something bigger yard, more first floor bedroom, whatever. But hey, do you really care who you sell your house to? In fact, let me ask you, what's most important? Selling it today on Tuesday or getting the most amount of money? What do you think the answer is?
Getting the most amount of money.
Okay, well then this may work out that my buyer wasn't interested. Can I tell you why?
Why is that, Brian?
Because when you have one buyer, they're calling the shots. When you have lots of buyers, you're calling the shots. Price is a function of supply and demand, and the more buyers you have, the better price you're going to get. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So, although this didn't work out, I have some strategies. I've been doing this a while on some things that can be done, whether you ever work with me or you work with another agent, whatever you decide to do, if you do it on your own, that will dramatically increase the demand on your home. Can I share them with you?
There you go, and you're in the door. Well, you're already in the door, but now you're into the listing presentation.
Bingo, brother.
Yeah, so a couple things I want to cover from what you were just saying. Number one, I'm very grateful for when I started getting into this industry that I listened to a lot of Tony Robbins. Like I was saying before, you're training, and they started me off with mindset. So I'll think appointments today, Matt Milley and Al Stasek for that. They started me with mindset before anything else. And I was in that same thing too. I was telling myself the same story. I was able to break out of that story and get into the right mindset to take that next leap. And then on top of that too, what you were just talking about, it's great marketing, because you can have the best product, the best thing since sliced bread, but if nobody's there to take it in, you're not doing your job. So the first step is getting in the door to present your value, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so no, I think you nailed it there. So Brian, so if I want to get more tools like this, and I'm sure you have a lot more tools, a lot more tips and tricks up your sleeve, where would I go to get that?
So the easiest way is we have 4 amazing coaches, people that I have coached over the years. They've passed the test. What they would say on a call is the exact same thing that I would say on the call. They follow a process. They diagnose your business. If you would like a free business evaluation, a free breakthrough call, just go to brianmosescall.com. brianmosescall.com. Yep, right there. brianmosescall.com. Perfect, Nick. If they go there, we'll ask you some questions on the website about, tell us what your goals are, tell us where you're at so that our coaches can be prepared. And they've carved out time to schedule a one-on-one call with you. No cost, no obligation. They're not going to pitch you on coaching. They won't even ask you to coach with us. They won't pitch you. They won't sell you. They are solely focused on sticking a microscope up the backside of your business and uncovering hidden opportunity that you didn't know exist. In most cases, these calls uncover $50,000 to $100,000 in the first 20 minutes. So we'll show you what you're doing without working any harder. We'll show you how to increase your average sales price. We'll show you how to increase your commissions. We'll show you how to monetize profit in your business. So if you'd like a free call with no obligation, go to brianmosescall.com, schedule a consult. And then if you got value out of that and you would like to know more about coaching, ask the coach and they'll be happy to tell you what's involved.
So from the outside, if you didn't watch this whole live, which if you didn't, I definitely recommend you go back, watch from beginning to end and schedule that call. They might be like, man, how are these other guys saying exactly what you would say? It goes back to what you were saying before. The formulas, the processes, and the systems don't change. You created them, they've learned them and mastered them, and that's how they're able to add that same value. So guys, if you haven't scheduled a call already, make sure right after this, you rewatch it, you go there, schedule a call, brianmosescall.com. You go ahead and do that. So Brian, do you have any closing messages for us in the audience?
I think that scheduling is really important. And I don't start with business scheduling. I start with family, right? There's people in your life. I'm not going to allow real estate, my coaching business. There's no way in the world I'm ever going to let an industry or a career adversely impact the quality of time that I have with my family and significant others. So I take a blank calendar and I schedule my vacations. Mm-hmm. I schedule magical time with my kids. Like this Saturday, my oldest is taking the SAT for college. So I'm taking my youngest to an aviation museum. He and I schedule. It's going to be incredible. He's all into aviation. I'm not really thrilled about the museum, but I'm thrilled about the interaction with my kid. Yeah. So scheduling is really important. I schedule personal time. I schedule relationships. I schedule health and fitness. I schedule finance, time to work. Tomorrow I'm meeting with my financial advisor for 2 hours. I meet with him quarterly. That's scheduled. Here's what I learned from Tony. If it isn't scheduled, it doesn't exist.
That's the truth.
I have date night with my wife scheduled. It's a recurring appointment. And it may sound a little robotic.
Yeah.
I get a lot of shit done because I've got schedule.
Yeah, guys. No, that's a great point. And that's how I operate too. If it's not in my calendar, that's not that I'm not even thinking about it. It won't happen for me because I run by my calendar. And if you're not in there, you don't exist.
You want to know an inside secret about Tony Robbins?
Yeah, I would love it.
Every minute of his day is scheduled.
Every minute.
When he does a seminar, there's a printout. Somebody is tasked with the job of, at 9:05, you were talking about this, and you were an hour behind. If you've ever been to a Tony seminar, he's behind all the time. He's mentioning with somebody, and it throws him off. So every minute of his day is scheduled, and he's worth billions of dollars. So what's a minute of his day worth? Yeah. Thousands of dollars.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And even back to the point you're talking about before about if they end up working with somebody else, if you're a realtor and you have your days that you can show them houses, they end up going with somebody else. That's perfectly fine. There's more people out there. I think it's getting out of that scarcity mindedness and getting into that law of abundance. There's always more people to work with and the right people that will appreciate your time and the time that you set aside for them.
Yeah, and with skills, you can really make people scratch their head and you can get them to flip. Like maybe they're calling you to see a particular house. Hey, can you show me that house?
Yeah.
Of course I can. But would you like to see all the other great, amazing, incredible deals that might even be better than the one that you're calling on? No, I just want to see that one. Hey, time out. So what you're saying is, if I can find a house that better matches your criteria for less money, you don't want to know about it? You don't want me to tell you? It's
as simple as that, though. Yeah.
It's that straightforward.
Yeah. No, that's what I always say. If you could show someone more, if you could save them time and make them more money, those are the two key factors right there.
It's a winning formula.
Yes, it is. Well, Brian, hey, I thank you for coming on here. And remember, guys, go schedule your call, brianmosescall.com. Go there, schedule your free consultation with your business. I guarantee you won't regret it. Again, Brian, thanks for coming on Nick Krem Live, powered by contentcards.com. That's contentcards with the Z.com. And we'll talk to you soon, Brian.
Take care, Nick. Great to see you.